Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. It's been about 6 months since the last video. And the reason for that is my wife and I have been working diligently on opening our holistic practice. So we finally have the doors open. There'll be more information coming soon on what we're doing here. But we don't have our website up yet. So that is in the process of being developed. We're hopefully going to have that running, I would say, maybe in the next month, I'm hoping. But we are here, and I am in the place right now. And so I'll probably shoot most of my videos from here, unless I do something outside, especially once the weather gets a little bit nicer. It's still early spring here, and it's definitely too cold to really try to do anything outside. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to show off the new digs. So today I wanted to talk about something that I think is a real important topic. And because I am shooting this video in our new space, it got me thinking about new beginnings. And I think there's lots of people out there that are probably, unfortunately, I hate to say this, they're going to die with regrets. If you have ever heard of people in their 90s being interviewed and being asked, one of the common questions that they get asked is, if you could ever do it all over again, what would you do different? Or what do you wish you would have done that you didn't do? And blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people, they have this list of all these dreams and things that they wish they'd done, or places they'd gone to visit, or, I wish I spent more time with my kids and things like that. I don't want to die with any regrets. I don't want to be somebody who's 92, 93, 98, or where I always tell people I'm going to live to be at least 100. I don't want to be 102 and say, I wish that I had done this and I wish I had done that. I want to say I did everything I wanted to do. So let's talk about that, because the reality is it's never, ever too late to reinvent yourself. All too often, people buy the lie that I'm too old, or, oh, I can't do that, or time's passed me by and I'm just going to have to just, settle into my life now and do what I'm going to do for the rest of my days. And the fact is, that's a choice, but that doesn't have to be your choice. Let's just talk. I'm going to talk about myself for a minute, because I'm a perfect example of somebody who has completely reinvented himself. And I've actually done this a couple of times in my life. When I think back over the last 9 or 10 years, I have done a complete and utter 180 with my life. Who I am, how I operate, what I do, how I see the world, because I had an itch that I just couldn't scratch. I had this voice constantly talking to me. Now, I'm not talking about hearing voices. I'm talking about this intuitive hits, things that would come into my mind when I'd be driving the car. A sense of knowing that I needed to do things differently. And everybody gets these. It's just some people are more sensitive to them than others, and some people just flat out ignore them. Or they dismiss it as, oh, that's silly. I don't know what I was thinking. They just will dismiss these nudges that they're getting from spirit. That's the fact. The fact of the matter is you're getting these nudges from God, you call it whoever you want, the divine, the universe, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, I don't care. You call it whatever you want. But this is how they communicate. And they give you these nudges, and they give you these little ideas and these little thoughts. And you can choose to ignore them, or you can choose to take them in, chew on it, and see how it feels in your heart. And if it feels like this is something I should do or direction that I should go in, you should take action on that. Because your job here in this life is not to just get your, go to school, get your degree, or learn your trade and go to work and do your job and do your 9 to 5 and take your couple of weeks vacation every year and get older, raise your kids, send them off, marry them off, see your grandkids, maybe go on a trip here or there, retire, sit in a recliner, watch TV all day, and die. That is not what you're supposed to be doing here. You're supposed to be always working to improve yourself, and the ultimate goal is to live in joy, to live in happiness, to be content and safe and secure. And ultimately, the best of the best is to just live in a state of bliss. Like, my life can't possibly be any better. That's the goal. That's the goal I would hope everybody would want. I know that's the goal I want. But if you just accept your lot in life, it's going to be hard for you to get there. And I can't even tell you how many times I hear people say, I'm just too old for that. Or I'm getting old. I'll hear people who are 10 years younger than me say, I'm not getting any younger. And I'm like thinking to myself, no, you're not. You're dying. You're dying. Because as soon as you start saying things like that, you're dying. You're on the back nine. It is going downhill from there because you're pretty much giving up on life. Now, there's reasons why, at least a couple of reasons that I'm going to talk about as to why people just don't try to grow. So first and foremost is they have been programmed since birth, and mostly from parents. But we have lots of societal programming. We have, media, and we have religions, and we have education systems, and we just have societal norms and things like that that program us to believe lies. And one of the big ones is, once you get to a certain age, it is what it is, and you really can't just up and change your life. Well, that's a lie. So I'm just going to tell you that right? If you get triggered by this because you're somebody who's been believing this lie, that's not my problem. That's your problem. But I'm hoping that you'll stick around and listen, because you can change your life. You can make your life exponentially better. But you have to face and so you have to have the courage to examine your belief systems. Where did this stuff come from? Why do I believe this is true? Why am I afraid? Because fear is the other huge issue here. It isn't just buying the lie, it's being afraid. And so you've got to face these things. So let's talk about me for a quick second, because I'm a great example of somebody who can completely and utterly recreate themselves. And you can do it too. So over the last, let's call it 9 years. No, let's call it 10 years, okay? First off, I got out of a 27-year relationship most people raise their kids to pretty much adulthood, and they have accepted at that point, if they're with their partners, then, it just is what it is. And I can't even tell you how many people, they sleep in separate bedrooms, separate beds. They just are, it's a relationship based on convenience. There's really no love there. Or if there's love, it's more like love because they've been together forever. But that's not a quality of life, okay? Had the courage to say, this isn't for me. This isn't working for me anymore. There's better out there for me, and I'm going to find it. And I did. I left that relationship, and lucky for me, I found the woman of my dreams. Over the last, we'll say, 10 years, I have become certified in Reiki. I am a professional life coach. I have 2 sound healing certifications. And I was so blessed, and continue to be tutored one-on-one in astrology, where I could learn at my own pace, which is way faster than I would if I were in a formal program with a group and at we'll just say, the mercy of whatever the instructor was going to teach that day. I've been able to move way faster at my own pace because I have a wonderful mentor, and I've been able to do this. So COVID hit, and I learned some skills. So I was somebody who was told my whole life, now keep in mind now, my father was real handy, very handy. He could make stuff, build stuff, fix stuff, but he was a lousy teacher. And if I didn't just learn from watching him do it, like the first time, he would just kind of say, just go get me this screwdriver, go get me that hammer, go get me that wrench. And I never really learned anything. I was always at the mercy of him. He'd come to visit my house. I needed something fixed. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the skills. And I believed that I wasn't capable because I was always told, you don't have those skills. You can't do that stuff, because that's what my father said. And so that was the truth, right? Well, that's not the truth. I decided when I moved into my house, I decided, hey, I would love to have a fire pit back here in this backyard. This backyard is kind of bland. We need to, do something with it. Anyway, long story short, I went on YouTube. YouTube's the best. You can learn anything on YouTube. I learned how to put in a stone paver patio and fire pit and a retaining wall, and I did it all by myself. No one helped me, not even a single person. And so that was like eye-opening for me. I'm like, oh my God, look what I just did. What do you mean I don't have skills? Maybe I do have skills. Year later, COVID hit. Not everybody, lots of people are out of work. For me, my business was kind of devastated. I had a lot of free time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take up woodworking. And I went on YouTube and I picked up a few projects. Next thing you know, I started with a birdhouse. And I went from a birdhouse right to a porch swing. And then the next thing you know, I'm doing cutting boards, and I'm building shelves, and I'm building all kinds of stuff. And so all of a sudden I got skills, and I got a workshop now full of tools, and I know how to use them. And it's like, I wish the people from back in the day could see me now, because you all bought the lie and you were telling me what I couldn't do. And the fact is yes, I can, because I decided that that wasn't true for me, and I went and proved it. So there's other things I've done. I was never, ever had the luxury of being, I was always into sports, athletics, but I love music. And I always said to myself, when I die and I come back, I want to come back and be in a band. I want to be in a band. And, I was just so lucky and fortunate and blessed that I married a woman who spent almost her whole life in bands as a singer, and but wasn't involved when I met her. And next thing you know, somebody reaches out to her. She says, sure. She joins this band. I go down to hang around and watch because I love it. Next thing you know, they pull me in. Now, next thing you know, a few years later, I've got a whole percussion set. I sing, and I taught myself how to play the keyboards, mostly with one hand, but it doesn't matter. No one really taught me. I did it on my own, and I actually play the keyboards and sing and play percussion in a rock and blues band, and I'm gonna be 57 years old next month, and no one taught me, and no one, everybody said, oh, you never do that, something like that. That's crazy, that's a pipe dream. No, it isn't. I made it happen. You can too. You have to face your demons. You have to look at, where is this stuff coming from? Why do I believe this is true? Is this really true for me? And then you have to have the courage to face your fears of, what will people think? How is this going to be received? Well, nobody knows me this way. Well, I'm going to have to be different. And so I may sit here and just make it sound easy. It is not easy, because you have to have courage, and there's a lot of inner demons you got to face. And so sometimes you need help doing it. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be more helpful than having access to somebody who's done this work. Somebody who's had the courage, who can empathize with your situation and the struggles and how difficult it can be. I had to literally recreate my whole life. All my friends are new. My whole family's new, with very few exceptions. And I'm better. I'm a better person. I'm happier. I'm doing things that I never dreamed I could do or would have done. And if I was on my deathbed right now and somebody said, geez, God, you've got so much life ahead of you, and unfortunately, this is the end for you. Do you have any regrets? And I'd be like, no way, man. No way. I get to play in a band, and I had all these accomplishments in softball, and I recreated myself with work, and I did this and I did that, and blah, 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 blah. And, I would be like, no way, man. And I would love nothing more than for other people to feel that too. But it does take a lot of inner work. So I'm going to wrap it up, but I wanted to just throw out there. So a few things that I do here in the center is, number one, I do astrology readings. You can't even believe the information that you can get about yourself that would be helpful from a birth chart reading. It'll help validate a lot of what you know, but it will also help you in ways you don't really know. It'll point out some of your strengths. It'll point out some of your weaknesses. It'll talk some about relationship dynamics. It can talk a lot about your gifts and talents and things you're good at, and things that areas where you might need to do some work. But one of the things I like the most about astrology readings is that you'll learn a lot about what you came in with that you're just innately good at, and where it is that your soul wants you to move to. These are called south node and north node. North node is really your soul purpose. This is where your soul wants you to focus and concentrate and move toward in this lifetime. Astrology readings are super helpful for people who are sitting there and they're like, I'm just not happy with my life. Like, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, I know I can do better than this. You know, you got in that position or that place where I was like 10 years ago, and you were like, yeah, no, this isn't working for me. I can't do this for the rest of my life. Having an astrology reading would be really helpful. The other thing I do is I use the astrology reading, and especially when we focus on these nodes, and I help coach people toward that life purpose. I help people live a more authentic life. So if that's something that you are interested in, you should reach out to me and we could schedule something for you. My wife also, if you're in this, we'll just say the central Massachusetts area where I'm from, as if you couldn't tell from my accent, my wife does full spectrum energy healing, where she has like over 35 years of certifications. Like she's got like 10 different certifications. She's a Reiki master. We're both sound healing practitioners, and she takes all those certifications and all that training, and she combines it into this most amazing energy sessions that people can come for. You can hit me up for that if you'd like to schedule something with her. And then if you're looking in the background, you may see there's some crystal bowls and some percussion equipment. We're also doing sound baths here. So in case you're curious as to what's going on here in this background, it's just sort of set up for a sound bath right now. That's something else that we do here as well. So thank you for joining me. I hope that the message makes you think a little bit about how happy are you with your current life, because life can be better. You just have to have the courage to face your inner demons, your programming, the messages that you've gotten about who you are, when really none of that shit's true, okay? You're better than that, and you can be better than that. So I wish you well. Have a great day. Please share, like, subscribe, and I will definitely catch you next time. It's not going to be 6 months from now, I promise. Have a great day.